I'm here in Venda in the beautiful province of Limpopo, and I'm on my way to explore the music, the dance and the traditions of the Venda people. In the last episode, I met with the Sand people in the bush outside Kimberley and the Sufi group in the Cape. I encountered some fascinating people and heard their beautiful and very different oral traditions. Merging their sounds was an inspiring experience. In this episode, I'm looking forward once more to bringing together entirely different sacred sounds of two unique traditions. I'm going far north, just a few hours from the border with Zimbabwe. The Venda are part of the Nguni people who have been active in this area for many centuries. They traded in minerals and through such commerce enriched their tradition with colorful cloths and glass beads, which they wear to this day. I'm going to Chikweta, a small hamlet under the leadership of a matriarchal chief. I'll be meeting Dr. Dima, an expert on Venda law and culture.
Long time, you're looking good.
I've heard that the drumming and dancing of the female Venda performers is highly energetic and rhythmical.
Shall we go?
As a sign of honor, they prostrate when Dr. Dima and I approach them, which shows how close they are to their culture. One sees very little of this type of salutation to a foreign visitor in today's world. Local custom dictates that I should greet Mama Joyce, one of their leaders, before they begin their Chikona dance, which is a celebration of welcome. I asked Dr. Dima to share with me some history of the Venda tradition.
My history of the Venda people, it's broad. We have been living here in the Venda for millions and millions of years, I could say it like that. Because the first settlement of the Venda people, they were called the Nguni people, or Bangona, in Chivenda. These people, they were smelting an iron, copper, and gold, and they were selling it to abroad. That is why we have been known by the Arab people, the Chinas, and the Indians. From the Arab people, we were getting glass beads, and from the Indians people, we were getting seashells or cowrie. And from the China, they give us a ceramic pot, and then we give them an iron. Venda people, they were having their own sacred drum, which was called Ngoma Lungundo. In South Africa, they are the people who are using the wooden drum, and which made out of keyat or mahogany covered with the skins. The big drum is the one which gives the beat, so that you must follow the beat. Even when we play the spiritual dancing, there are 2 drums and 1 of small drum. So there might be 3 drums which are going to be played on the spiritual dancing. Here we were dancing the solo dancing, which is Malende in Venda. If you listen to the instrument itself, the song itself, in the songs there is a message. It gets deep into your heart. And there is a feeling that, no, you are somewhere, you'll be taken, you can find yourself you are not here, you cannot see the people. You know, a dancer, when he started to dance, he don't see anybody. There is a feeling on the instrument itself, the song itself, when people singing, and the drums also, the beat of the drum itself. It gets right deep into the heart, and it will direct you. How are you going to dance? You go straight with a beat, because the spirit now has been taken you to that song.
Mom Joyce, sometimes when I play music, when I play an instrument, I feel good sometimes, I feel sad. Sometimes when I close my eyes, I feel the music takes me to different places and I can't see anyone around me. It just makes me feel very, very, very good. Now I want to know from you, when you play the drums or when you sing, how does that make you feel?
Nga nḓila ine nda vha ngayo kha muzika wa Tshivenḓa, arali nda vhuya nda tou thoma luimbo ndi a hwelwa ndi uri muvhili wanga wa oma, wanga una starch woṱhe lune arali ndi tshi vho dia houḽa murumba wa hone ndi nga u rwa na nga ṱhoho ndi si tsha zwi pfha na zwine nda khou ita zwone, ngauri zwi a ndzhena malofhani, nda hangwa na zwo ri ndi gai, nda pfha u nga ri na ṱhoho yanga i tsha shuma, zwi a ndzhena na ṱhohoni hafho. Zwavhuḓi nga maanḓa musi ndi tshi luimba ndi a swika hune nda hwelwa musi ndi tshi thoma u humbula uri arali ndi tshi khou amba uri a vha mboni ndo ṱamba ndo ḓola ndo naka, zwi vha zwi tshi khou amba uri ri vhathu vhane ra dzula ri vhavhuḓi, zwa ita uri ri ḓipfhe ri na maanḓa na power ya u ita zwine ra khou ita zwone.
These rhythms stir something deep within me, and I'm eager to learn more. How are you transferring this music to the younger generation?
Vhaswa ri navho vha na khou guda, nga maanḓa vhana vha fhano Venda vhaṱuku vha khou thoma u guda zwikoloni, hu na dzi program dza muzika ya sialala ya Tshivenḓa, and then vha tshi bva ngei zwikoloni ri a vha navho afha practice, ri a vha na ḓuvha ḽine ra vha gudisa.
Dr. Dima then introduces me to some Venda musicians who play several different instruments, the first being a locally made imbira, which is quite different from my own. They have cleverly made the finger pieces wide, elliptical and flat, which I realize gives it a different musical quality.
Now, going further with these Venda people, they don't do dancing during the course of week. On the weekend, when they have their own ceremony, they can be called in on a chief crawl so that they can come and dance for the chief. And the people who are playing the mbira and marimba and bow, pumpkin calabash music instrument, they also come to the chief crawl to entertain the chief himself, because the chief doesn't have a time to go to the street to watch the dancing itself. That's what the historical background of the Venda people.
Can you tell me more about the drum? Because I know the drum is very, very important to the Venda people. Can you tell me more about its use?
We do have a circle drum of rain making. When they see that there is a drought, they called in the villagers to come on the chief crop. The relevant people who are like Chief Munjaji, because she is part of us, of the Venda people, she coming here. Her forefathers are coming from Venda. They are the rain making. They've got their own drum, of which when they beat the drum and sing the song itself, which is a sacred song, the following day there will be a cloudy, and there will be a legend rain. It does not have a thunderstorms. It's just only a shower rain. You just wake up early in the morning, you just see only without any storms or lightning.
I meet Selwyn, a well-respected Venda cultural activist. Selwyn, tell me about your music, more especially the bow that you play. Can you tell me what's the name of that instrument that you play?
The name of the instrument I'm playing is called Denda in Venda. It's one of indigenous instrument which our ancestors used to play when they are happy, when they are angry, when they want to express themselves or to transfer something they want to be known. They use Denda to sing. I started playing the Dende long before, when we were still young. But we used to leave them out, being ashamed of ourselves, as we thought we were running back to olden ages. We were thinking of taking something which is like the guitars and all that, forgetting that we are leaving our roots away. When I play this instrument, it brings me back to my ancestors. I practiced it till I came to the place I am now. It tells me that when I play it, I have to give the people around me who I am and where I am from. I feel something in me, the spirit, something like spirit comes into me, giving me some expressions and ideas and what I have to tell the people. Most of these songs, all of them, they are telling youngsters that there is a danger. We must have stick to our roots, where our ancestors have lived. And those people, we have to respect them, because they are the ones who lived near our God. They were near to God than what we are not today, because we are now far from God. He gave them instructions, everything. So this motivation, it gives me the power to stand up and say what I want to say, even if I know that it is not from myself. It is from somewhere where I even don't know.
I now have a chance to interact with the two Venda musicians I've heard playing to see what kind of fusion we might make together. I always find it a privilege playing with traditional performers of this caliber.
There's a specific place where they can play. Maybe they've been gathering together, helping one another, what we call that to give a hand one another. We need to sit down, maybe underneath the shade. Is then now we started to sing songs. Mostly we use our hands to clap it.
I feel as if I'm sitting amidst Venda ancestors, and it warms me to be among these wonderful souls.
When it's late hours, by 6 o'clock during the oldest time, everybody have to go so that they can prepare a food for their children.
A very humble woman who quietly begins playing a beautiful mouth bow catches my attention. She's playing with a safety pin. Her ability in capturing different notes is incredible. The technique produces a polyrhythm which is very difficult to do. I begin to consider which elements I'll be using later in the fusion. The Venda music has totally captured my heart. The next leg of my journey takes me to meet an Anglican choir in St Georges Cathedral. It's Sunday morning and I'm standing in front of the St Georges Cathedral, and today I have been promised that I will be listening to the voices of angels. Going back in recent history, between 1986 and 1996, spiritual icon Archbishop Desmond Tutu was based here at St Georges Cathedral in Cape Town. It feels as if the inside of the cathedral is like a womb. protecting one from the outside. I'm met by Father Bruce, who offers to share his knowledge with me on the Anglican tradition and the cathedral after the service. The stillness of this structure is awe-inspiring. St George's has been a bastion of peace for decades. Throughout the apartheid regime, this magnificent edifice was a safe haven for many activists, freedom fighters, and refugees of the struggle. It served as a place where they knew they would be protected by those who stood by justice and liberty. In countless ways, this cathedral embodies the essence of Christianity, which is to love and serve humanity. Although the church serves several Anglican communities, it is seen as a central base by various denominations. Many of these congregations celebrate annual festival services here. I've heard so much about the choir. The young ones look quite cherubic.
Sing together the first hymn of Praise to the Lord.
Father Bruce, how long has the Anglican tradition been in South Africa?
The first English settlers came to South Africa in 1820. At that stage, though, there was no Anglican church here and there were no Anglican priests. The only ones who were available were the military chaplains, and they held services at the beginning of the Anglican time in South Africa at the Grote Kerk, around the corner from us, and at the castle down on the waterfront. The Anglican Church in southern Africa is called precisely that because it includes not only the Republic of South Africa, but also Angola, Swaziland, Lesotho, and Mozambique. And so the Anglican Church in southern Africa is even more multidimensional than the pluralistic culture we enjoy in the Rainbow Nation itself. There are about 2.25 million Anglicans in the Anglican Church in southern Africa.
How old is this magnificent structure, and can you give me some of its history?
Originally, there was an Anglican church on the spot, but it wasn't a cathedral. And that church is 162 years old. And it was founded in 1848. But in 1906, this cathedral was built. And much of what we see here was completed by the middle 60s. So the Anglican Church in Cape Town, that was on St George's Mall, where it is now, was originally a neoclassical building in the Greek style. And when the first Bishop of Cape Town arrived here in 1848, he had a vision of a Gothic cathedral that looked like the cathedrals in Europe, and that's what we have in St George's Cathedral today. This cathedral was planted in 1906. Cathedrals are symbolic buildings in bricks and stone, in glass and stained glass. They tell the story of the Christian faith. They've done that for centuries in the great cathedrals of Europe. This cathedral does the same thing. But for all its delicate symbolism, the overarching symbolism is of a ship. And if one were to look at the shape of the cathedral, it looks like the upturned hull of a ship with all the ribs running through it. And the power of that symbolism is that the cathedral represents the ship of faith into which people can enter, and embarked there, they can negotiate the difficult and troublesome waters of life. In the ship of faith, they find confidence and they find hope, and their course is charted. They know where they're going. And that's the overall symbolism of the cathedral. This cathedral also has remarkable symbolism in its amazingly beautiful west window, the window of liberation, in which the liberating Christ is the central figure, with symbolically represented Saint Michael, who is the defender of the faith and the faithful, and Saint Gabriel, who brings the announcement of liberation and freedom. And it's a remarkable window of reconciliation and hope. And if you were to look in the lower left-hand lancet, you will see barbed wire stretching across in red and purple dark colors, representing our years of captivity, when we were unable to sing the Lord's song because we were in a terrible land of apartheid. But if you look at those barbed wired lines, they become notes of music. And they rise up in that window, a song of glory and hope as we celebrate the liberation. So this cathedral is unique in that the theme of liberation and new life is symbolized in the building as much as the traditional themes of the ship of faith, carrying people through a troublesome life into the peace of God.
Eternal light, shine in my heart. Eternal hope, lift up my eyes. Eternal hope, be my support. Eternal wisdom, make me wise.
What I have been told is true. This choir definitely has a divine quality of light to it. I'm anticipating an inspired fusion with the lilting sounds of the children's soprano, woven with the deeper bass voices of the adults. Father Bruce, as I walked into the cathedral, I noticed this amazing smell that just makes you feel so good. Could you please tell me what is it and what does it symbolize?
The fragrance that lingers in the cathedral is the odor of sanctity. It's the fragrance from the incense that we use in our rituals. Our prayers, like the incense, rise to the very heart of God. And so the incense is a symbol of our prayers ascending to God's ears.
I meet one of the cathedral's famous choir masters, David Orr, who provides me with some insight into the sacred music of the church. David, in the Anglican tradition, sacred music, could you tell me more about its history?
The history of sacred music is much older than the Anglican Church, to start with, and I think a lot of our earlier repertoire actually goes back to the Catholic Church. But we do have a very long history, and I think that's probably one of the things which sets the Anglican Church and its style of worship aside from some of the other denominations, is the music and liturgy that you find here. Some of the material we use goes right back to the medieval times, sort of Gregorian chant, that style of repertoire, and then we move through the Renaissance period, where we've got some really quite spectacular stuff in a sort of polyphonic style. We sing some Baroque music as well. A lot of the music we sing for our evening services, for evensong, is written in the Victorian Romantic era, like the piece you heard tonight, sort of late 1800s. It's a very rich history, and it's a living history because we're still contributing to it today.
I have to know how David managed to engage these children who seem so committed to the repertoire. Because of the influences that we have today, how do the young adults accept this beautiful tradition of sacred music?
That's actually a very interesting question because all of these kids who sing in the choir are all singing voluntarily, and they really seem to get very enthusiastic about music, which is really not part of their culture today. And it's a really exciting thing to see. I think young people respond to quality, and if you present something in the right way, you'll catch their enthusiasm. One of the other things which is quite interesting about having those children in the choir is seeing the interaction between young people and older people. And I think that's one of the exciting things about a church choir, particularly, is that everybody is on an equal level playing field. They all have to work as a team, and whether they're singing bass, tenor, alto, or treble, soprano, they've got an equally important role. I think there's a symbolism, apart from anything else, with people singing together as a group. They're all working towards the same goal. They're expressing the same belief. They're singing material which might have been sung by hundreds of different choirs over a large time frame. And I think that the community element involved in choral singing is very important.
I'm eager to integrate this refined choir together with my kora. I invite them to work spontaneously with me on a musical rhythm and chant they may never have heard or tried together.
Anglicans, singing is very, very significant, and we have a long tradition of beautiful, beautiful Anglican church music. This music is especially supported in our cathedral by a choral tradition. For many, many centuries, that tradition was exclusively the property of men and boys, and the great cathedrals of the world had for hundreds of years remarkable choirs of men and boys. But 2 years ago, we were able to establish in this cathedral a mixed choir. And so now is a choir of men and women, boys and girls. The heart of the choir is the 20 trebles, the young boys and girls who provide the top line of clear cherubic music that informs our worship and that leads the people, invites them into singing. One of the great African saints, St Augustine, said, "To pray is important. To sing is important, and to sing is to pray twice."
In the mind of the Anglican Church, what is the vision for South Africa?
We hope for a people and a nation in which democracy is made a wonderfully realizable possibility in a pluralistic culture where people bring together a whole variety of life experiences. We hope for a society which is just and free, and in which men and women and children, gay and straight, old and young, black and white, all find the possibility for the expression of their true identity, and in our common life, we can be a beacon of light and hope for the world, because we can live with a troublesome history as we make from our challenging present a glorious future.
Let us take a mystical journey into the past, where you shall find your future. For you will never know where you're going to unless you know where you're coming from. For we are now a 21st century people, and we speak of love and peace. Love and peace for the universe. Love and peace for the leaders of tomorrow. This is your future. I also believe that one day when I die, I shall become a dream of the past, the present, and the future. Welcome to your own 21st century. Mama way.
They now offer me an opportunity to tune into one of their religious pieces, O Lord, hear my prayer.
I think music is definitely intended for particular spaces, and a lot of the music that we sing relies very much on a resonant, reverberant acoustic. And I think that there are definitely composers who have written music with a particular kind of spatial effect in mind. The organ was installed 100 years ago, so it will be 101 this year, but it's very much older than that. It actually came from St Margaret's, Westminster in London. Parts of it are very old, go back to the 1600s, and it's thought that great composers like Handel played on it, and the last organist to have played on it when it was in London was an organist called Le Maire, who apparently wanted something which was more orchestral for doing orchestral transcriptions.
It's the first time that I have had an experience like this in such a place, and I am moved. Listen to the subtlety of their prayer, their devotion. This tradition preaches peace and love, and I realize, being surrounded by these angels, that I am really feeling this peace. It is my belief that there is one God, and anyone can reach out to that supreme being through song, in any language, using all instruments, with an open heart. Now I'm going to see how I can blend these two very different traditions together to speak in one voice. fusion of the Anglican choir music and the Venda rhythms is going to be an interesting challenge. You know, the music I heard in the cathedral follows a Western classical system, an 8-tone octave with its gentle linear approach. Now, the Venda sing and dance to syncopated African drum rhythms, which are cyclical and polyrhythmic, and it's so different to the Western approach. Let me give you a simple example of what a polyrhythm is. I'm going to clap in 4, but in your mind you're going to be singing something else. So here we go. So I'll be going like 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is just an idea of a polyrhythm. So it's all like interweaving, you know, it's like people sewing things together and stuff like that. That's what polyrhythms are. Now I'm going to see how I can blend these two traditions so different from one another to speak in one voice.
I think there's a symbolism, apart from anything else, with people singing together as a group. They're all working towards the same goal. They're expressing the same belief.
In the songs, there is a message. It gets deep into your heart.
They're expressing the same belief.
There is a feeling. There is a feeling.
arali ndi tshi khou amba uri a vha mboni ndo tamba ndo ḓola ndo naka zwi tshi khou amba uri ri vhathu vhane ra dzula ri vhavhuḓi zwa ita uri ri ḓipfhe ri na maanḓa na phawa ya u ita zwine ra khou ita zwone.
To sing is to pray twice.
It gets right deep into the heart, and it will direct you. How are you going to dance? You go straight with a beat because the spirit now has been taken you to that song.
Something like spirit comes into me. giving me some expressions and ideas and what I have to tell the people.
To sing is to pray twice.
nga nḓila ine nda vha ngayo kha muzika wa Venda, arali nda vhuya nda tou thoma luimbo ndi a hwelwa ndi uri muvhili wanga wa oma wanga u na starch woṱhe lune arali ndi tshi vho dia houḽa murumba wa hone ndi nga u rwa na nga ṱhoho ndi si tsha zwi pfha na zwine nda khou ita zwone.
They're expressing the same belief.
There is a feeling.
Hamba.